A basement in Paris's Chinatown.
Voilà, donc là, ce sont les costumes.
These elaborate costumes were meant for the annual Chinese New Year parade that draws thousands of spectators. But for the first time, the event was called off this year. Sun Lei Tan, who's a regular participant, blames the coronavirus and the stigma it's fueled.
Ça a été annulé.
The parade was cancelled not out of fear of the coronavirus, but the fear of children being stigmatised. We've been told that Asian children are coming back from school crying because they were singled out and made fun of. They were insulted and called names. So we didn't feel like celebrating. It's been very tough.
Sun Lei Tan grew up in this neighbourhood, a melting pot known for its 1960s high-rise apartment blocks and dozens of East Asian stores and restaurants. The Frenchman is of Chinese and Cambodian descent and says he'd never really experienced racism openly in Paris until a week ago.
I took the metro, and as I sat down, the person next to me got up and moved away. And then he covered his mouth and nose with a scarf. I realised it was a form of xenophobia and fear. I was sad and shocked.
It's far from being an isolated case. Accounts of prejudice, avoidance and slurs are piling up in France, stoking unease. Here in southeastern Paris, the city's main Chinatown, which is home to large numbers of France's Asian community, the usually bustling neighbourhood seems a bit subdued. Many residents are wary of speaking on camera, but some are clearly rattled by incidents of racist abuse amid fears of the coronavirus.
A friend of mine who's Asian was taunted and called a virus in the metro. That's not very nice.
Our customers wanted to know if our waiters had Chinese nationality, even though ours is a Vietnamese restaurant. Seeing Asian faces didn't reassure them.
This epidemic has really given free rein to racism against Asians, something which in France is not really talked about and not taken seriously.
The issue has reverberated across the French media, here on the banks of the River Seine. Journalist Lin Landau has been following accounts by French Asians of being targeted, using the now popular hashtag, #IamNotAvirus.
It looks like it's in the French train.
She has long campaigned against anti-Asian racism in France, but nothing prepared her for these responses to an article on the coronavirus in China. She translates into English.
You shouldn't have eaten weird beasts. This is normal. They would eat anything in that country. The country is overcrowded, so nature is doing its work. This is horrible. Like people, they have no empathy. We're just talking about sick people, and then they would say racist things like that. The virus is just a pretext to be hateful.
Lin Landau has been speaking out against the hate on talk shows and on social media. She's also hit out at sections of her own profession. For example, for this inflammatory headline in a local newspaper, warning of a yellow alert. So far, France has recorded only a few cases of the coronavirus. If the numbers go up, the fear is that prejudice could spread just as fast.
As cases of coronavirus increase around the world, so does the racism accompanying it. From across the globe, in countries as far apart as Australia and Canada, and others in between, such as Malaysia and Indonesia, people of Chinese origin have reported facing discrimination and verbal attacks, all out of fear that because of their Chinese heritage, they could spread the virus. Such as this Australian doctor who claimed a patient made jokes about not shaking her hand because of fears over the coronavirus. She ended her tweet with, "This is racism." In Hong Kong, a Japanese noodle shop posted this sign outside, which essentially means, "We don't accept people from mainland. We want to live a little longer." Here in Germany, some people are outraged over this cover the magazine Der Spiegel came up with on the coronavirus story. A journalist reacted to it, saying it was disappointing that in 2020 this magazine can still come up with such a cover perpetrating racial stereotypes. Here's more on what people are having to face. The following views from the streets of Paris.
I was choosing fruit, touching it with my hands, and suddenly this lady came up to me and asked me if I had the virus. I was in shock, and I asked her if she was joking. She said she wasn't. She just repeated herself, asked me, "Do you have the virus?"
My daughter came to me and said, "Mummy, at school I'm being harassed. They tell me to stop coughing, to stay away from us. You'll spread the virus." It's ridiculous. People have to stop talking such nonsense. My daughter is French. She's in France and she doesn't have the virus.
There are stories of such discrimination around the world. In Aberystwyth in Wales, for example, Su Chu Lu, a trader from Taiwan, was told to leave her stall in the indoor market in the city after she returned from Taiwan. Su Chu Lu joins me now on the line. Ms. Lu, thanks for speaking to us. What were you told when you came back to your stall in the market?
It was my first day back to work after returning from Taiwan. And I didn't expect the matter happened to me. When I went in my store, and the man opposite me just asked me to leave the building. And I'm asking why. And he mentioned I just come back from Taiwan, and Taiwan have few cases of the virus happening there. And he told me, he said, everybody think I shouldn't be in that building, and because I might bring the risk on everyone. And I have to leave the building, otherwise it's unfair to the traders in the whole. But I didn't want to go. I say, you have no right to ask me to leave. And he mentioned that if I don't leave that building, he will contact the council to force me. And also he accused me, say, you went to China. The reason why he said that, because I mentioned it to one of the traders before I went home for holiday. I told her I might go to China for holiday for a few days. But of course, when the news of the virus happening in China, so we canceled the trip, we didn't go. So even I was trying to explain, I didn't go, but they didn't believe me and assuming I has gone to China.
Why do you think you in particular were asked to leave the market?
For the first thought, they accused me that I has gone to China, which means I already get the virus already. Secondly, I don't know why they did it to me, because I doubt why they asked me to leave because of my identity or because my skin color, because I believe there are so many people pass by the market hall. So which people travel from different places, they might already infect by the virus, and maybe the skin color different for me, so they didn't worry about it, they didn't doubt about it, just only target on me. So that's what made me so upset and feeling down about this issue.
Ms. Lu, as far as I understand, you've been at this market for 15 years, so you're not a stranger here. Is that correct?
No, that's right, because I'm a senior trader in that building. So that's why it make me so upset. If I attacked by a stranger, which means I can just taking in and won't be too upset. But the trouble is this thing happened to me and by the people who I work so many years. So which means was really shocking things.
To people who are seeing this and have fears about the spread of the coronavirus, what is your message?
But I just would like to appeal to the public. We don't need to over panic. I think we all should fight the virus together. And the most important things, don't bring these fears by attacking Asian people, because that is the virus brought out is not from these people. So we should get together, help each other, and learn, respect each other, and there's no need more attacking on anybody by this issue.
Ms. Lu, thank you very much for speaking to us.
Thank you.
A virus that doesn't discriminate based on race, so should we? As you consider that, here's advice on how you can protect yourself against the virus. The public advice is pretty simple, but worth repeating. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water. Alcohol-based hand sanitizers are a good alternative, and avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. If you do sneeze, for example, or cough, cover your nose and mouth with a tissue. then throw it in the bin. Anyone with flu symptoms should avoid close contact with others. Stay at home. If you happen to live in an area affected by the coronavirus, avoid live food markets and contact with animals. And finally, avoid spitting in public. While largely taboo, spitting remains common in many places, and health officials warn that spitting spreads disease.